What kind of city changes the fate of an entire nation, powers an empire, and at the same time grinds down the lives of the people who keep it running? And what did it really feel like to walk the streets of Manchester in the 1850s, when steam, smoke, and human labor combined to create what many contemporaries called the workshop of the world? In this video, we step into mid-19th century Manchester at the height of the Industrial Revolution, a city that symbolized progress and prosperity to some, and exhaustion, danger, and inequality to others, because by the 1850s, Manchester was no longer just a town, but an industrial organism, expanding rapidly, consuming people, raw materials, and energy, and transforming them into cloth, wealth, and global influence. And to understand Manchester in this decade is to understand how modern industrial society was forged. By the middle of the 19th century, Manchester had become the heart of Britain's cotton industry, earning its nickname Cottonopolis, and according to contemporary records and later economic historians, millions of pounds worth of cotton goods flowed through its mills each year, feeding markets across Europe, the Americas, Africa, and Asia. And this production was made possible by an extraordinary concentration of factories, warehouses, canals, railways, and workers packed into a relatively small area, creating a cityscape unlike anything Britain or the world had seen before. Residents of Manchester in the 1850s lived under the constant presence of industry, with towering brick mills dominating the skyline, their chimneys pumping out thick black smoke that darkened the sky and coated buildings, streets, and lungs alike. And visitors often remarked that the sun appeared dimmer here, filtered through soot and steam, while the air carried the sharp smells of coal, oil, and chemicals. And yet for many people, this polluted environment represented opportunity, because Manchester drew in tens of thousands of migrants from rural England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, all searching for work, wages, and survival in a rapidly changing economy. The typical working-class resident of Manchester in the 1850s lived a life structured almost entirely around the factory bell, rising before dawn, walking through crowded streets to spinning mills or weaving sheds, and working shifts that could stretch 12 hours or more, 6 days a week. And although factory reform laws had begun to limit child labor and reduce the longest hours by this decade, enforcement was uneven, and many families still depended on the wages of women and children to make ends meet, meaning that industrial labor was not just a job, but a family commitment that shaped every aspect of daily life. Inside the mills, conditions were harsh and often dangerous, with fast-moving machinery, deafening noise, airborne cotton dust, and minimal safety protections. And contemporary reports from factory inspectors and social reformers describe frequent accidents, respiratory illnesses, and long-term physical strain, suggesting that while industrial wages were often higher than rural earnings, they came at a significant human cost. Housing reflected this imbalance between growth and welfare, because Manchester expanded faster than it could be properly planned, resulting in dense working-class districts filled with back-to-back houses, cellar dwellings, and overcrowded courts where sanitation was poor and clean water unreliable. And according to public health investigations of the period, diseases such as cholera, typhus, and tuberculosis spread rapidly in these conditions, reinforcing the stark reality that industrial progress did not benefit all residents equally. Yet Manchester was not a city of workers alone, because alongside the mills lived a powerful industrial middle and upper class, factory owners, merchants, engineers, and financiers who accumulated immense wealth through cotton production and global trade. And these residents often lived in more spacious suburbs or newly developed neighborhoods enjoying clean air, private gardens, and cultural institutions, and their influence shaped the city's politics, architecture, and public life, funding libraries, lecture halls, churches, and philanthropic projects that reflected both genuine reformist impulses and a desire for social stability. Intellectually and politically, Manchester in the 1850s was a city alive with debate, because it stood at the center of arguments about free trade workers, rights capitalism, and reform, and it was closely associated with the ideas of economic liberalism, especially following the repeal of the Corn Laws in the 1840s, a movement strongly supported by Manchester manufacturers who believed free trade would strengthen industry and lower food prices. And at the same time, the city was a hotbed of working-class activism, trade union organizing, and political consciousness influenced by earlier Chartist movements and ongoing struggles for representation and labor protections. Everyday social life in Manchester reflected these tensions, because despite long working hours, residents found moments of leisure and community in pubs, music halls, religious meetings, and mutual aid societies, and Sundays offered a brief pause from industrial routine. When families attended church, walked along canals, or gathered in public parks, that reform was promoted as moral and physical relief from factory life, and observers often noted the resilience and solidarity among working-class communities, even in the face of hardship, as neighbors supported one another through illness, unemployment, and loss. The city's global connections were impossible to ignore, because raw cotton imported from the American South, often produced by enslaved labor before the Civil War, fed Manchester's mills, tying the city's prosperity to international systems of exploitation, a reality that some contemporaries recognized and debated, especially during the cotton shortages of the 1860s, and historians continue to examine how Manchester's wealth was intertwined with global inequality, colonial markets, and imperial power. By the end of the 1850s, Manchester had come to symbolize both the triumph and the tragedy of industrialization, admired by foreign visitors as a marvel of productivity and engineering, yet criticized by social commentators as a warning about unchecked industrial growth, and writers such as Friedrich Engels, who observed the city closely, described it as a place where economic progress and human suffering coexisted in stark contrast, shaping debates that still resonate today. This first part of our journey into Manchester in the 1850s reveals a city driven by steam, labor, and ambition, a city that helped build modern Britain while exposing the profound social costs of rapid industrial change. And in the next part, we will look even more closely at daily family life, class divisions, public health reforms, and how Manchester's experience influenced industrial cities around the world. Because to understand Britain's workshop, to understand the foundations of the modern urban world, and how the choices made here continue to shape our lives today.